Our top stories tonight. Another terrorist group linked with Boko Haram discovered in Niger Republic. Niger State, beg your pardon. Senator Mark sets up committee to meet President Jonathan on the fate of abducted schoolgirls. National Confab gets 6 weeks extension. And on the foreign scene, IMF says Russia is experiencing recession due to sanctions over the Ukraine crisis. Thanks for staying with us on the news at 10. I am Chioma Ifanyi Obianiwa. Another suspected terrorist Islamic sect with link to the Boko Haram sect has been uncovered in Bida, Niger State. Already, the state government has set up a two-man committee with the mandates to identify the sect members and flush them out of the state. State Governor Dr. Babangida Aliyu, who made this known in Minna, the state capital, yesterday, said the government had already set up a committee to investigate the activities of the suspect and report back to him within 3 days to enable government to take an urgent step on the matter. This was as even gunmen suspected to be Boko Haram terrorists attacked Kubla village in Madagali local government area of Adamawa State, killing 8 people and burning 2 churches among other private houses. And the Senate said it decided to send a 22-man committee to meet with President Goodluck Jonathan to discuss the security situation in the country. The decision to meet with the presidency was reached after the lawmakers considered a motion on the abduction of the schoolgirls in Chibok, Borno State. In its solidarity with the Nigerian workers on this year's Workers' Day, being celebrated worldwide, the Senate canvassed better working conditions for Nigerian workers, describing them as the nation's engine room.
During Wednesday plenary, the Senate President said that 9 senators from the 3 states, Adamawa, Yobe, and Borno, will join 12 others, making the 22 that will meet with President Goodluck Jonathan at the presidential villa. Similarly, a senator from Taraba raised alarm on the presence of insurgents in his state, urging the federal government to do something.
When they were arrested, a few of them confessed to have fought in Kano and in Bulunkuntu in Borno State. Our colleague, Senator Jejari, drew our attention to the fact that what is happening in Borno State and Yobe could spread to other states of the Federation, not only in the Northeast. What has happened in my constituency appears to be a confirmation of what our colleague drew our attention to.
The Senate, in its solidarity with Nigerian workers on this year's Workers' Day, moved to review the laws seeking to improve their welfare, health, and safety.
We shall continue to struggle against high cost of living arising from uncontrolled inflation, poor salaries and wages in the face of declining economy, insecurity arising from attacks on the generality of innocent Nigerians.
We must work towards improving the well-being of Nigerian workers. Let us look at the possibility of providing health services, if not free to a large extent, must be affordable for Nigerian workers.
This Senate had passed the Occupational Health and Safety Bill over a year and a half ago. That bill has been lying in the House of Representatives and has not been dealt with. Mr. President, I have written several letters. I have even gone there to talk to them. The Nigerian worker needs that law to protect them.
When they are struggling for the welfare of workers, they should struggle also for the welfare of those who are yet to be employed. Those who are qualified to be employed but are not yet employed.
The Senate President appealed to Nigerian workers not to relent in joining forces with the federal government to develop the nation's economy.
We have to appreciate the Nigerian workers because they're doing their best in a rather difficult environment and under difficult circumstances. We ask them to continue to make the sacrifice. The sacrifices they make will not be in vain.
Due to federal government's declaration of a public holiday on May 1, the Senate adjourned plenary till next Tuesday.
And staying with reports on the abducted girls, a group in Nigeria, E-Advocacy Forum, is seeking urgent local and international intervention to bring back the girls abducted from the school in Chibok, Borno State by Boko Haram insurgents. The group is mobilizing to secure 1 million signatures from Nigeria and concerned people all over the world in order to petition the President of Nigeria, the United Nations, the AU, ECOWAS, as well as other international bodies for a hardline action in the crisis ravaging the northeast Nigeria. Correspondent Helen Oyibo has more.
Pictures from the scene of the protest at the National Assembly Abuja on Tuesday. Indigenes of Borno, including mothers and fathers of the over 200 girls abducted from their school in Chibok, Borno, by the Boko Haram insurgents, protesting the abductions. It's been 2 weeks since the girls were taken away, and thoughts of their plight in the hands of the abductors is agonizing to their relatives. Amy Oyekunle is a women rights advocate. She participated in a similar protest 2 months ago in Lagos over the killings and abductions of school children in Yobe and Borno. For her, the situation is heartbreaking.
I'm deeply saddened about what is happening in the northeast. I'm deeply saddened about what is happening in many parts of Nigeria, not just the northeast, but particularly when it comes to innocent young girls, our future generation, future leaders being traumatized in this manner. I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm a mixture of emotions, Helen, because I am angry because some of these things can be mitigated. Some of the things can be dealt with. Some of these things can be stopped. It doesn't have to happen.
The federal government has been indicted for not doing enough, and the Senate has raised a 22-member team to meet with the president on the matter. While some Nigerians are offering prayers, others are taking a more active stand. The E-Advocacy Forum is calling for signatures from all over the world so the federal government, as well as relevant international agencies, would get involved in bringing peace to the North once again. Helen Oyibo, STV News, Lagos.
And the People's Democratic Party has called on the authorities of the Government Girls Secondary School, Chibok, Borno State, to release the names and pictures of the schoolgirls abducted by the Boko Haram insurgents. The national women leader of the PDP, Dr. Kema Chikwe, made the comment while conducting a PDP women's prayer session for the unity of the country in Abuja recently. She said the issue of the kidnapped girls had raised a number of questions which had not been answered. She said the abduction of the schoolgirls had left the hearts of the women folk not only broken, but also bleeding. The military has urged Nigerians to pray for a successful outcome in their efforts to free the remaining girls abducted from Government Secondary School Chibok, Borno State. The military spokesperson, Chris Olukolade, claimed that a deal is within reach in the release of the girls, saying that the military are doing their best to rescue the students. Channel 4, a UK-based media organization, had reported that a hostage negotiator who is in direct contact with the kidnappers disclosed that a deal for the safe release of the girls is being finalized. In their reports, the TV station stated that it had established that the schoolgirls are no longer being held in Boko Haram's bush camps inside the Sambisa forest. And the northeast region of the country has witnessed protracted military campaign in the last couple of years as Nigeria battles insurgency. Military operations against terrorists in this region have also become a consistent part of the campaign. STV's Lawrence Sumeta witnessed one such operations by the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army in Maiduguri.
It's 10 p.m. inside the garrison of the 7th Division, Nigerian Army in Maiduguri. Officers and men getting set for the night's operation as part of campaign against insurgency in this part of the country. This is a regular feature of the military campaign since the commencement of the state of emergency. The soldiers get last-minute briefing from the patrol commander, who assigns responsibilities to all sectors. It's a briefing that lasts less than 10 minutes.
It's expected that all the troops should dismount from their various subsistence vehicles.
All set, the troops move out in a long convoy along the disaster streets of Maiduguri. mission is to carry out patrol to frustrate the movement of the adversary. The operation is to take two forms. The first phase involves movement from the garrison headquarters along roads 6 and 9 in Sector 1. One team is to dominate along all major routes and pass information on any movement deemed suspicious. The second is from Ano back to Sector 7, all within the metropolis. Although a few streets in the metropolis are well lit, most other highways do not enjoy such luxury. Along the largely lonely and dangerous stretch from the garrison through the Old Goni Highway, roadblocks dot the landscape. This is understandable. Stories abound of several ambushes on troops during patrols. Most of the ambushes involve suicide bombers who try to take out the soldiers. The harsh terrain on both sides of the road is a serious challenge for those on patrol. For now, we are told such occurrences are now far in between. Intermittently, officers take time off to assess the situation and plot new strategies if necessary. 2 hours later, the team heads back to camp without any major incident. It's not always like this, we are told. Lawrence Moite, STV News.
Message over.
And the Commandant of the Nigerian Army School of Public Relations and Information has appealed to the media to assist in the training of its personnel on matters of public relations. He made the appeal when he led officials of the school on a courtesy visit to the Silverbird Television Studio in Lagos.
The Commandant, accompanied by officials of the school, said the visit was aimed at further strengthening the cordial relationship existing between the army and the media.
You have been doing so much for us, and in the training of our personnel, I want to appreciate you, and also to solicit that the relationship be sustained, because we continue to have students coming in.
He also advised civilians who have been victims of military brutality to report to the Directorate of Army Public Relations, even as he declined to comment on the security situation in the country. He also said the school is training the Navy and the Air Force and will plans to incorporate other security agencies.
So far, we are training military personnel, that's Army, Navy, Air Force. We hope that in the near future, we should be able to take on board both the police and the paramilitary services for the training of their media and information personnel.
Emeka Moy, STV News, Lagos.
Away from security now, as Nigerian workers join their counterparts across the world on Thursday to mark this year's May Day, the police authorities have continued to talk tough on the need to have hitch-free rallies across the country. The force headquarters said any sharp objects and working sticks would not be allowed into the venues of the rallies. Correspondent Sam Ogbefo reports.
With the execution of 4 protesting workers in November 1887 in Chicago, United States, May Day has become a symbolic reflection on the sacrifice of these workers. And in Nigeria, May 1st of every year has since 1981 been observed as public holiday by Nigerian workers. Labor unions have equally used the occasion to organize rallies, reflect on the past, articulate and make demands for improved condition of service and welfare of the workers. While expecting the labor leaders to make far-reaching statements on the state of the nation, tomorrow, the Inspector General of Police, who spoke to the first public relations officer, said the workers will be subjected to a thorough security check.
We will not want them to come up with things that can easily be used as offensive weapons. We expect them to submit themselves to searches where it is absolutely necessary to conduct thorough searches. We expect them to cooperate with security agencies that will be deployed to the venues of the rallies. We expect them to equally have their own committees, security committees that will work with us.
Ahead of the May Day rallies, the Nigeria Labour Congress has urged the federal government to take decisive action to halt the mindless killing of its members and their children in some part of the country by insurgents.
Our government and its security agency must work around the clock and exert more energy to locate and rescue these children in record time before any harm is done to them, as such harm should be considered as a collective harm and a blister to our collective case for progress and national greatness.
President Jonathan is expected to address workers for the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in Abuja tomorrow. Sam Ugbefun, STV News.
A Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja today adjourned the hearing of the trial of the chairman of Bicotne Limited, Wale Babalake, till May 12. The court had earlier fixed today for hearing of the application but could not set due to the absence of the judge. The defendant is standing trial alongside Alex Oko and their companies, the Bilim Vision Limited, Bicotne Limited and Renix Nigeria Limited. And the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is facing contempt charges for disobeying a judgment on statutory transfers delivered at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja in respect of a suit filed at the court by the Center for Social Justice. This follows a notice of consequences of disobedience to court's order dated April 29, served the minister by the FHC. The court had compelled Okonjo-Iweala to grant the group access to the details of the statutory transfers in the 2013 Appropriation Act specifically. And still ahead on the news at 10, confirmed delegates get 6-week extension. That's coming up shortly. Join us again.
Esse samba quente que é muito legal. É super pra frente, é bem genial. Uma da pesada que segura a parada. Esse é o famoso 16 toneladas.
You may wonder why I switched to layer milk. But I got 2 after my fitness trainer told me about the good stuff inside. You should try it.
Exercise and making good nutrition decisions like drinking calcium-enriched loyal milk every day is vital because it helps you nourish your bones and body so that you can live a more active life every day.
That's why I encourage my clients and ensure that my family gets their loyal milk too.
So, make that switch to calcium-fortified loyal milk because it's what's inside that matters.
McVitie's all-butter shortbread special offer with 2 free biscuits in each 10 biscuit pack. Grab yours while stock lasts.
Thanks for staying with us. The ongoing national conference has been extended by 6 weeks. The conference, which commenced 6 weeks ago, was to last for 3 months till June 19. The conference will now end on July 31st. The extension is contained in the work plan released to delegates on Wednesday. However, a spokesperson for the conference, James Akbandem, said he is not aware of the extension. With the extension of the conference, each member will now get about 4.5 million naira more than the 9 million naira they were supposed to get for the 3 months. And staying with the CONFAB, the National Conference Committee on Devolution of Powers said that its members have reached a truce on the controversial issue of control of mineral resources. The truce was announced by the co-chairman of the committee, Victor Atta, this evening. Mr. Atta told journalists at the end of the committee's meeting that the feuding delegates resolved to retain control of mineral resources, item 39, on the exclusive list. The exclusive list contains items that only the federal government handles. Mr. Atta, however, said despite the retention, the committee agreed that states would now be involved in the management of such resources. The House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Education to interface with the federal government, Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, and Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, KERSU, on resolving the ongoing strike by the unions. Correspondent Grace Ike reports that the committee is expected to report back within 1 week. Her report.
The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance moved by Honorable Raphael Iboke, which was unanimously adopted without debate. The lawmaker, who noted that public polytechnics had been shut down for over 10 months, lamented that the protracted strike will expose students of the institutions to criminal activities, hence the need for the House to urgently wade into the matter.
The need to intervene in the lingering strike by the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics and that of the Colleges of Education as well.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker, who presided over the session, asked the Committee on Education to give explanation on previous meetings on the protracted strike.
We saw protesters. He acknowledged to me that he had received a correspondence from ASUP and had directed the Committee on Education to take action on it.
I do recall that at some point in time, when we were trying to handle the ASUP matter, we had called ASUP, not COASUP at the time, we had called ASUP, and they had agreed to down tools for a while. But unfortunately, for some reason, the problem with ASUP has not been pursued as it should be.
The police had on Tuesday used water cannon and tear gas to disperse striking members of COASU and ASUP, as well as the students who took their protest to the National Assembly against the government's failure to implement agreements reached since 2009.
You can see that. This is a peaceful protest. See what they have done to you. You can see that.
Also on the floor of the House, a motion on the failure of the Ajaokuta steel rolling mill was referred to the Committee on Steel Privatization and Commercialization and Justice to investigate the concession and report back to the House for further legislative actions.
We know that the fact that that project is down is a national embarrassment. We know that a lot of things have gone wrong in that project. Even the concessioning is not properly tidied up. Even the post-concessioning management is equally not tidied up.
Also, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria to be charged with the responsibility for registration and discipline of its members and 4 other related matters passed second reading. Plenary resumes next week Tuesday. Grace Ike, reporting for STV News.
Staying with education, social commentators on several occasions have come to the conclusion that the standard of education in the country is deteriorating. Inadequate funding, lack of teaching tools, modern classrooms, among others, have been identified as major factors impeding quality education. Going by the UNESCO scorecard, the Nigeria's illiteracy rate is about 45%. The nation needs an urgent step to address the situation.
Less troubles on the campuses. Even when they talk about strike, if lecturers are on strike, I don't think students should join. And there's a way the union can actually help. But then it boils down to the willingness of the student to actually come back to the campus. So it's still about attitude.
Thanks. I said this to most of our students. It's sad, they are unemployable. Yes, they complain there's no job, but 70% of them are unemployable. So the essence of this seminar is to open their eyes that, look, when you leave the confines of the university environment, you are going to meet a challenging world out there. You need to, is to prepare them. It's a path to being employable. Life after campus, what next?
Okay, the respective body to sit down around the round table and agree on way forward. Now, you cannot reach an agreement if one person is sticking to his position. I think we'll be ready to make sacrifices there and there and meet each other midway. But I can tell you that strike, especially when they are first school, doesn't give any benefit to anyone. This country needs to move forward, and we need to work in moving the country forward.
Well, the government should listen to them, whatever their grievances are. And then when the government is listening, the unionists too should compromise. They should shift grounds. When you're negotiating, you win some, you lose some. But the government should listen
listen to them and consider their requests in the interest of the students.
And away from education, the United States of America says it will continue to partner with Nigeria in non-violent transformation of its communities. Speaking through the Assistant Secretary of State for Conflict and Stabilization Operations, Ambassador Rick Barton was in STV studio as part of events publicizing the dawn in the Creek series. The U.S. acknowledged the importance of Nigeria to Africa and the international scene, hence the need to ensure its stability. Correspondent Helen Oyibo reports.
Oil theft, pollution and militancy are some vices associated with the Niger Delta region. Over the years, non-violent efforts made in transforming the region often ends in more violence. The latest effort is from a board composed of Nigerians and thought leaders through a reality TV series. Ambassador Rick Barton was in Nigeria to support it.
All of our work starts with talking to local people. So we really wanted to address the narrative of conflict in Nigeria and the actuality of that there's quite a lot of violence, and we wanted to make sure that was being addressed by Nigerians. And it starts by talking to as many office holders, people on the street, think tanks, others that are doing studies, business people, and as many people as we could to see how might we be able to help. So it all starts with a better understanding of the place, and that's what we did here first for really almost a year before we landed on this really very happy way of approaching the problem.
Despite other strategies not yielding much results in the Niger Delta, the ambassador is optimistic that Nigeria can overcome its challenges.
There's just great energy in Nigeria. There's great creative energy, but people really want to progress. It's a very modern, dynamic society that can be held back by violence. So we feel that this has just fit in very beautifully to that we've been able to engage many young people. The combination of an exploding media market, young people, and this message seems to be magical. So we're very, very pleased.
As the violence in the north continues, many say foreign intervention will be a welcomed idea. Opportunities like this one can therefore be maximized for a more secured Nigeria. Helen Oyibo, STV News, Lagos.
According to the World Health Organization, immunization prevents an estimated 23 million deaths globally every year, yet 1 in 5 children still misses out. In Nigeria, medical researchers are advocating comprehensive campaigns to reduce diseases that can be prevented by vaccines. An event was held at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research to observe the day.
The last week in the month of April every year is set aside worldwide to initiate activities that will create awareness on the importance of immunization. This year, the theme, Immunize for a Healthy Future, Are You Up to Date?, is an opportunity to encourage action against deadly diseases, especially among children.
In 2012 alone, an estimated 22.6 million infants were not reached with immunization services worldwide. More than half of these children live in just 3 countries, that's Indonesia, Nigeria, and India.
In Nigeria, about 2 to 3 million each year from diseases such as diphtheria, measles, hepatitis, pneumonia, polio, rotaviral diarrhea, rubella, and tetanus.
Getting reliable information to those who need it remains one of the challenges confronting immunizing every child in Nigeria.
Once a child, the mother determines or confirms that she is pregnant, she starts to take care of that unborn baby by making sure she goes to health facilities with skilled health workers to register and get all the information concerning our unborn babies during all the antenatal care.
People are refusing, they are resisting immunization. So they have to do a lot of community advocacy to encourage, not to force now, to encourage mothers to bring their children. Missed opportunities is a case of taking a child there. Are you with me? There's no vaccine. A missed opportunity is there's vaccine at the clinic, but the child is sick. The child couldn't go.
one of the things that we need to do is to create awareness among men, the husbands, the wives, and so as to take their children. So we believe that once we create a sufficient awareness and with the increased political awareness of government, policymakers, I believe that we are on the path to eradication.
Those that take it and don't have these infections cannot really say the value of it. It's actually when you don't have the immunization and you come down with the infection. So health education, we should be, each one can reach one. Each one should tell somebody else about the benefits of this vaccine.
While the country may be recording some success in immunizing against vaccinable diseases, the major goal lies in reducing to the barest minimum the rate of child mortality. Adesuwa Omoran, STV News, Lagos.
And to the update on the Ukraine crisis, acting president admits failure to curtail the unrest. That's on the foreign scene right after the break. Stay with us.
The bottle of the world has arrived in Nigeria.
What? Oh, sorry. James? Yes? You had party here last night?
Yeah. Need cleaner, painter, carpenter, or even a hospital? Whatever product or service you're looking for, find it on vconnect.com, Nigeria's largest local search engine.
You're watching STV News at 10. Transactions on the Nigerian Stock Exchange today closed flat, with the all-share index recording a marginal growth of 0.01% after dropping for 2 consecutive days. The NSE all-share index appreciated by 4.88 points to close at 38,485.48 points. The market capitalization grew by 4 billion naira to close at 12.671 trillion naira. And straight to the foreign scene, where Ukraine's acting president, Alexander Turchinov, has admitted his forces are helpless to curtail unrest driven by pro-Russian activists in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. Mr. Turchinov said the goal was now to prevent the unrest spreading. Activists have seized cores of government buildings and taken hostages, including international monitors. Mr. Turchinov also said Ukraine was on full combat alert amid fears Russian troops could invade. He admitted security personnel tasked with the protection of citizens were helpless. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has revealed that Russia is facing recession due to sanctions over Ukraine crisis. Brunei is to begin implementing a Sharia-based penal code that includes punishments such as amputations and death from tomorrow. Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah made the announcement during a ceremony in the capital Bandar Seri Begawan. However, New York-based Human Rights Watch Deputy Director Phil Robertson criticized the decision. Brunei is a tiny oil-rich Southeast Asian sultanate with about 400,000 people, about 67% of whom are Muslims. Still on the foreign scene, the governor of the U.S. state of Oklahoma has ordered a full review of the state's execution procedures following a botched execution. Clayton Lockett's execution was stopped after 20 minutes yesterday. Officials say one of his veins ruptured, preventing the drugs from taking full effect. He died of a heart attack less than 1 hour later. A White House spokesman said the execution fell short of humane standards. The third-day prayers for the repose of the soul of Captain Yusuf Sabo Sambo, the younger brother of the Vice President Namadi Sambo, came up today in Abuja. Distinguished Nigerians from all walks of life, including Chairman of the Silverbird Group, Ben Murray Brooks, Group and Vice President of the Group, Guy Murray Brooks, as well as former military President Ibrahim Babangida, were in attendance at the solemn ceremony. State House correspondent Ken Damodo reports.
For the past 2 days, Vice President Sambo has been receiving visitors at his Aguda House residence. On Wednesday, prayers were offered for the repose of the soul of the late Captain Yusuf Sambo, who died on Sunday after a motor accident on the airport road in Abuja. The Federal Executive Council meeting was cancelled to allow council members attend the prayers and mourn with the nation's number 2 citizen. The occasion turned out to be a gathering of Nigerians from all parts of the country, all showing solidarity with the man of peace. The prayers that were said and the sermon by the Chief Imam of the Abuja National Mosque, Ustaz Musa Muhammad, were rendered in Hausa.
Wanda gida ya ruso ya fada masa aka ko katanga ya mutu ya yi shahada.
Then it was time to pay homage. Chairman of the Silverbird Group, Ben Murray Bruce, and Group Vice President Guy Murray Bruce were among the many distinguished Nigerians that paid homage to the Vice President. At this solemn occasion, many agree with the Chief Imam that beyond praying for the repose of the soul of the departed, it is important to pray for Nigeria.
This is a very auspicious time for all of us to ask for God's intervention in the affairs of this country. We have come to commiserate with the family of the Vice President who just lost one of their illustrious ones. And so it's also an extension of our desire for peace to prevail in the land.
Losing a younger one is always a major challenge, more so when that person is very close to you and very, very dear to you. And I'm made to believe that Iya is a man who lived an exemplary life.
So it is indeed a great loss because you can still say breadwinner, and apart from that, that a life has been lost is something, for the family. Is such an irreparable loss, but we cannot question God.
I think every well-meaning and patriotic Nigerian and every person of faith will share this thought that Nigeria is in need of prayer. Nigeria is a multi-faith nation. Nigerian people believe in God and peace and harmony.
It is at times like this that it is clear that the Nigerian nation is indeed one, with so many, regardless of religious or ethnic background, sharing the sorrow with one of their own. From the Federal Capital, Kehinde Amudu, STV News.
Next is entertainment news.
After a successful hosting of the Mr. Nigeria competition, Silverbird Production, organizers of the Most Beautiful Girl pageant, have called on ladies to purchase forms at designated Silverbird outlets nationwide. Ladies with clear skin, good diction, charisma and poise are qualities that will be required of aspiring queens. Screening exercise nationwide will commence soon. The Most Beautiful Girl pageant offers contestants the opportunity to win the main title MBGN 2014, a title which will not just make her a global brand, but a national representative to the Miss World pageant later in the year.
Explanation could have been better than this to show that peace has actually come to stay on the plateau.
The piece, which seems to have eluded the home of peace and tourism, with recurrent violence and communal crises, it is obvious that the warring parties have laid down their arms with the turnout of people at this event, the Omodan Comedy Service. The comedy service, organized by Silverbirds Rhythm 93.7 Jules and the Origin Entertainment, gathered comedians from far and near.
And the essence is to promote peace and to let the whole world know that there is peace in Jos. And we're also using the platform also to bring people out of Jos. You know, people are already in their shield. For me, no, you know that can't now, Jos, no, they're peaceful. But with this kind of atmosphere, it tells people that there's peace in Jos.
Cement-wise, they are growing, they are trying, because you're walking on the road, you're seeing an old woman dancing skelewu, you're seeing an old woman do a tigi. It tells you that they are really affected.
I told Ramadan, this is going to be your best ever, you know, and I was just saying it, but it's turning out to be like a mega. I don't know of anyone that would be able to counter this, you know, this year.
I'm happy for Plateau for what I've seen here today. I never expected to see the volume of crowd I saw here today, but it's something.
Jos is a pride of entertainment in Nigeria. We can't take that. Football, comedy, music, act.
The audience could only ask for more.
It's wonderful for Silverbird to actually come out with a program like this. It's actually true that Plateau State has something to hold on to. That Silverbird is actually doing a good job.
I feel excited. I've been seeing a program like this taking place on the Plateau. It's a great thing. I so much enjoyed the event.
Wow, I really feel very great, you know. Silverbird Television, and in collaboration with the comedians, they are beginning to make us feel very nice, you know. No longer as in running about, we are always feeling free to have entertainment. So I give kudos to Omodan, Silverbird Television, everybody.
The event featured comedians like Acapella of AY Live, Osama, Eneche, MC Longs, Fonichi, Chaki, Praise.com, Reverend of Comedy, and MC Sabi Sabi. Music artists including Gospel Joseph, Onari, Dachomo, Grill, and MC Jubilee were on ground to soothe the hearts of many with a special performance by the Wapi Zumuntamata Comedy Choir.
In sports news, the Confederation of African Football today named the officials to handle the African Women Championship's second round qualifying matches between Nigeria and Rwanda. According to the list, Ala Abdel Samad from Sudan will be the center referee for the first leg in Rwanda between May 23rd and 25th. Ethiopia's Thraz Gebryohanes will be the first assistant referee, while Sudan's Nasrin Mudawi and Batul Ibrahim will be the second assistant and reserve referees. Sarah Ramadan from Egypt will officiate the game in the second leg that will take place between June 6th and 8th. Flying Eagles continued their impressive form in the build-up for next month's 2015 African Youth Championship qualifier with emphatic victory over Ikara United of Ondo State. Musa Yaya and Taiwo Awoniyi produced a brace each. Hassan Ibrahim, Suleiman Abdullahi, Abubakar Lawal and Wasiu Jimo also put names on the scorer sheet as the Nigeria under-20 team defeated Ikara United 8-0. And Chelsea has crashed out of the UEFA Champions League. The Blues, who drew the first blood through Fernando Torres, lost at home to Atletico Madrid. And boxing legend Oscar de la Hoya has expressed his interest in buying into one of the National Basketball Association teams, Los Angeles Clippers. The owner of the LA Clippers, who are currently playing in the playoff series, Donald Sterling, was banned for life after making racist remarks, asking a woman not to associate in public with black people nor bring them to games. The remarks caused an immediate uproar in the public and drew condemnation from U.S. President Barack Obama. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has urged the Board of Governors to force Donald Sterling, who was also fined $1.5 million, to sell his interest in the team. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is also considering getting involved. That's our package tonight, but just before we go, a quick look at our top stories. New terrorist group formed in Niger State. Senator Mark sets up committee on abducted girls. National confirmed gets 6 weeks extension. And IMF raises alarm over Russia's economy. Many thanks for watching. I am Chioma Ifanyi Obianiwa. Good night.